The man I married in a contractual merger marriage has always kept me at arm's length, and he still carries a torch for the girl he's pined after forever. I've had enough. Trying to salvage the last scrap of my dignity, I handed him divorce papers. That night, the man who's always been Ice Prince Perfect cried like a 200-pound toddler. Your intel said she went for the aloof type, so I kept the act up for years, and she never fell for me. My soft, sweet wife wants a divorce. If she walks away, I swear I won't go on living. She left everything behind, said none of it matters anymore, she even left me. Fine. All those years I spent secretly loving him, wasted. Before we go on, hit subscribe and tell us in the comments where you're listening. I've loved Ethan since senior year, but I never let it show, never dared to chase. As the Vance heiress, I always knew my real job was to be a pretty not tying two balance sheets together. I never imagined our lives would actually intersect. So when Dad told me the groom in the arranged merger was Ethan, I dug my nails into my palms until the pain convinced me I wasn't dreaming. His voice came through the study door, muffled yet final. The Vance-Sterling partnership is non-negotiable. The two of you will be engaged next month. The boy I'd secretly worshipped since high school was about to become my husband. I gave Dad the gracious smile he expected, then slipped back to my room, locked the door, and buried my face in the pillow to scream in silence like a lunatic. My senior yearbook slid off the shelf and flopped open to Ethan's page. In the photo he wore a crisp white shirt, eyes cool and distant as mountain mist, just like his name, impossible to read. I traced the picture with shaking fingers, remembering the championship basketball game when, after sinking the winning shot, he'd glanced at me for one heartbeat. The sun was perfect that day, the sweat on his brow sparkled like glitter. I stood at the edge of the cheer squad, yet it felt as if his gaze sliced through the roaring crowd and landed on me alone. I yanked the closet doors open and started trying on every dress I owned. In the mirror my cheeks burned, eyes alight with a glow I didn't recognize. I settled on a powder blue sundress because I remembered Ethan once saying the color of the sky suited me. While packing, I tucked the senior yearbook into the deepest layer of my suitcase. As my fingers lingered on its spine, a terrifying thought struck me. Ethan probably has no clue who I was in high school. After all, back then I was just the quietest Vance girl in the back row, while he was the student body president half the grade secretly crushed on. The realization made my hand go limp, the album thudded to the floor. But the next second I straightened, rehearsing my most diplomatic smile in the mirror. It's fine. He can start noticing me now. This time, I'll make him see me, really see me. I thought marrying Ethan would be the happy ending to my secret crush. But I'd forgotten what a contractual merger marriage actually is. Ethan treats me well, polite, considerate, flawless, and as remote as any boardroom colleague. Our daily life is flat water. He comes home on the dot, asks about my day over dinner, remembers I hate cilantro and ginger, shields me from toasts at galas, even holds my hand in front of our parents, thumb brushing my knuckles in a perfect imitation of affection. Beyond that, an invisible glass wall stands between us. We're more like reluctant roommates than spouses. He rarely touches me, and when he does it's with the careful restraint of someone afraid to trespass. At night we share a bed, but he stays on his side, turning over with military precision so as not to wake me. Sometimes I wake at 2 a.m. and study his profile in the moonlight, and I'm thrown back to the boy I knew in high school. The one who flew across the basketball court, the corners of his eyes tilting when he laughed, sunshine dancing in his hair, blinding, magnetic. Now even his breathing is cautious, as though his very existence is an intrusion. For him this marriage is simply one more required square on the corporate chessboard. And I'm just the piece that happened to be placed there. He fulfills every husbandly duty except the one that matters, love. Those polite check-ins, those thoughtful gestures, are nothing more than good breeding, they have nothing to do with feeling. The joke's on me, because I kept hoping. Hoping that one day he'd look over and suddenly realize, like in some novel, that the wife who's always been there is actually adorable. But real life isn't a fairy tale. His eyes stay clear, cool, uninterested. How could someone as dull as I am ever expect his heart? In high school he was the brightest supernova, student body president, basketball captain, always ringed by friends and admirers. I was just the Vance girl in the corner, quiet as glass, nearly invisible. Back then I didn't even have the courage to talk to him. I'd steal a glance when I collected homework. His textbooks were always neat, handwriting crisp and strong, doodles scribbled in the margins. Once I accidentally flipped to a page where he'd sketched a goofy kitten and scribbled just like her beside it. I stared until the bell rang. He still goes out drinking with his buddies. Each time he leaves he informs me with perfect courtesy, "I've got an event tonight, don't wait up." Then he rolls home after midnight. At first I'd sit up, simmering hangover cure on the stove, helping him to the bathroom when he could barely stand. One night, wasted, he leaned against my shoulder and slurred, "Grace." My heart almost stopped. But morning arrived and he was distant again, as if that flicker of intimacy had been my hallucination. Later I couldn't help wondering, does he find me boring? I don't shoot whiskey with him, can't crack jokes with his crowd, don't have the sparkling charm of the girls he might prefer. I just sit quietly, clumsy at small talk. Sometimes, watching him walk out the door, shoulders straight, I'm hurled back to graduation day. He stood on stage as commencement speaker, stained glass sun painting him in color, and I was in the last row, tracing his silhouette through a sea of caps. The distance felt the same then as now, inches apart, galaxies away. At a sterling cocktail gala, crystal chandeliers scatter light like diamonds and champagne flutes chime. I'm on Ethan's arm, smile sodded on, soul wilting. He navigates these waters effortlessly. I hover like an accessory, murmuring pleasantries when required. "Well, look who's back in town." A bright female voice sails over my shoulder. Ethan's stride falters, his forearm tightens under my fingers. I turn and see a woman in a wine-red gown, makeup flawless, eyes sparkling with confident swagger. Lark. My nails dig crescents into my palm. In high school she was the undisputed queen, vivacious, charismatic, Ethan's co-chair on every committee. Everyone said they were meant to be. "Long time no see," Ethan answers, voice pitched lower, softer than usual. Lark's gaze drifted between Ethan and me, her smile widening. "So I heard you two got married? Congratulations." Ethan gave a soft nothing more. I forced a stiff smile. "Thanks." Lark didn't seem to notice my rigidity. Instead she gave Ethan's shoulder a familiar pat. "Never thought you'd actually," she never finished. Ethan cleared his throat and cut in. "I'm going for a drink." With that he let go of my hand and walked straight to the bar. Lark blinked, gave me a meaningful look, then followed him. I stood there, fingertips turning cold. The party swirled around me. Under the clinking glasses I excused myself to the restroom and fled the suffocating air. When I came back I saw Ethan and Lark on the terrace in the distance. The night breeze was cool and Lark's laughter was bright. And Ethan, my Ethan who was always reserved and distant, now had the faintest curve on his lips, eyes relaxed in a way I'd never seen. They stood close, so close that Lark rose on her toes to whisper something in his ear. Ethan chuckled softly, shook his head, helpless yet indulgent. It felt as if an invisible fist had closed around my heart. I could hardly breathe. So it wasn't that he couldn't smile, he just didn't smile for me. And I was nothing but a boring contractual bride. I stood in the study of the Vance estate, French doors framing the manicured rose garden. Father had his back to me, fingers drumming the mahogany desk, every tap striking a nerve. "Divorce." His voice was terrifyingly calm. "Grace, do you know what you're saying?" "I do." My nails dug into my palms. "Ethan and I, Sterling is partnering with us on the new energy project," Father snapped, spinning around, eyes razor-sharp behind his lenses, "plus the East Side land development, $300 million. Mother glided in with tea, gently circling my arm. "Darling, every couple has tiffs. A man of Ethan's pedigree, half the debutantes in Riverdale would kill to be in your shoes." Looking at her flawlessly smoothed face, I felt nothing but strangeness. All my life she's been like this, the softest voice delivering the hardest decrees. "Mom," I said quietly, "he's in love with someone else." Her smile froze a beat, then resurfaced intact. "Silly child, contractual merger marriages aren't about love. The way you two respect each other is perfect." I can't take it anymore. My voice cracked, startling even me. Day after day of polite indifference, watching him smile for another woman. Enough. Father slammed the desk. Grace, you're 26, not 16. The Vance family raised you for leverage, not melodrama. Tea fragrance curled in the air. All I smelled was metallic money. I knew they were right. The Vances had given me privilege, top schools, silk and champagne for 26 years. Repayment was due. Just like Aunt Lillian marrying the Chen heir, like Cousin Laura engaged for the family portfolio. But this time I refused to obey. Dad, Mom, I uncurled my fists, crescent nail marks beaded with blood. I've never defied you. Schools, Major, even the clothes I wore, all yours. I lifted my head and for the first time met Father's eyes. But this once, I want to choose. Mother gasped. Father's eyes turned dangerous. Do you understand the consequences? I do. My voice was eerily calm. The Vance-Sterling alliance has profited you for years. Ethan's reputation is iron. The agreed deals won't unravel just because we divorce. I looked at them and felt an unfamiliar lightness. Because I finally realized a person has to live for herself at least once. This marriage, I am ending it. Father's hand rose. Mother caught it mid-air. When I stepped out of the Vance gates, fine rain was falling. I didn't open an umbrella. I let the water streak my cheeks. My phone buzzed in my bag, a message from Ethan. Home for dinner tonight? I stared at the screen while raindrops blurred the letters. At last I replied, we need to talk. Then I powered the phone off. The rain thickened, yet for the first time I tasted freedom. I'll never forget the way Ethan looked at Lark, so tender, so alive, just the way I always secretly looked at him. So he could smile like that, only his warmth belonged to someone else. But let it be. Let me keep a shred of dignity in front of him. Let me be the one who turns away first. He won't ask me to stay anyway. Consider it liberation for him, and for myself. I sat on the living room sofa, fingertips absently tracing the edge of the divorce papers. Outside, rain kept pounding the windows like a silent countdown. Ethan walked out wearing only a towel. You're back. His gaze froze the moment it landed on the document. Yes. I spoke softly, surprised by my own calm. Ethan's Adam's apple bobbed, his eyes turned storm-dark. What is this? Divorce papers. I looked up. I've already signed. His fingers clenched, knuckles whitening as he fought for control, an expression I'd never seen on him. Those usually cool, detached eyes now surged like a sea before the storm. Why? His voice was hoarse. I tugged the corners of my mouth. A man as clever as Sterling needs me to spell it out. Grace. He used my full name, a faint tremor woven through the syllables. I want to hear it from you. I drew a slow breath. Ethan, we were a transaction from the start. With the Vance-Sterling partnership secure, there's no need to keep this hollow charade. Hollow. He gave a cold laugh, strode over and seized my wrist. That's how you define us. Startled by the sudden contact, I still lifted my chin. What else? Is Sterling going to claim he actually loves me? Ethan's pupils shrank as if I'd stabbed a wound raw. His breathing turned ragged, chest heaving, composure finally cracking. The word jammed in his throat, as though something desperate wanted out yet was brutally swallowed. Watching him, a sour ache flooded me. See? Even at the very end he won't say stay. Forget it. I pulled my hand free, stood up, grabbed my purse, and started upstairs. Look the papers over. If there's a problem your attorney can call mine. I'll have my things packed within 3 days. Ethan didn't try to stop me. He didn't even say, let's talk about this. He just followed me up in silence, changed into a fresh suit, and walked out without looking back out of what used to be our home. No, what was now his home. I sat on the bedroom carpet and folded clothes into my suitcase like a robot. Outside, the rain grew heavier. Every blow against the glass felt like a cold, merciless ticking clock. Our wedding photo still stood on the nightstand. In it he was impeccable in his tux, lips curved in the proper corporate smile, gaze distant as if he were attending some banquet for investors. I reached to put the frame away and accidentally knocked it over. The crack of shattering glass shot through the hushed room. I crouched to gather the pieces. A shard nicked my fingertip. A bead of scarlet bloomed, but I felt nothing. Tears blurred my sight, falling drop by drop onto the photograph. The day he'd taken my hand, his fingers had been this cold. In the closet hung the ties I'd chosen for him, in the bathroom his razor rested on its shelf, in the study the financial magazines he liked were stacked in perfect order. His presence clung to every corner. I'd thought I could walk away without a backward glance. Now I realized that erasing him, inch by inch, hurt 1,000,000 times more than I'd imagined. At 2 a.m, I curled on the guest room bed, cried dry, a dull ache spreading through my chest. Rain still lashed the windows, occasional lightning bleached the room white. Suddenly, clumsy footfalls drummed downstairs, followed by a heavy thud. I sat up, nerves taut, ears straining. Grace, that familiar voice, thick and slurred, froze me. Ethan. Barefoot, I ran down and found a sight I'd never seen. The usually aloof Sterling lay sprawled in the foyer, blazer crumpled, tie askew, cheeks flushed an unnatural red. Ethan. He lifted his head, his unfocused eyes brightened the instant they found me. Grace, he staggered up, lurched toward me. I instinctively reached to steady him, and he pulled me into a fierce embrace. Strong liquor laced with his familiar cedar scent stung my eyes. How did you drink this much? I tried to push away, he only held tighter. Don't go. His voice was hoarse, hot breath brushing my neck. Grace, don't go. My heart gave a violent jolt. You're drunk. I fought to stay calm, to wriggle free. Let me make you some hangover cure. No divorce. He locked his arms, burying his face in my shoulder. Please. The words drove into me like a blunt knife. I stood frozen, feeling his burning skin, his racing heart. Ethan, do you even know what you're saying? My voice shook. You clearly. I know. He shouted, eyes bloodshot and glistening, nothing like their usual chill. I know we're getting divorced. I know you're leaving. His voice dropped, thick with suppressed tears, but Grace, I don't want it. I had never seen this Ethan, vulnerable, disheveled, defenseless, a child terrified of abandonment. Why? I heard myself ask. Because of the Vance-Sterling partnership. Don't worry, my father already, no. He cut me off, palms framing my face. Not the partnership, because. The sentence died, confusion clouded his eyes. The next second he went limp, slumping against me, dead drunk. I fumbled to catch him, and we both sank to the floor. His head rested on my shoulder, breath steady, as if none of this had happened. Moonlight spilled through the window, washing his sleeping face. I gently brushed the hair from his forehead, my heart clenching so hard it hurt. Ethan. I whispered. What on earth? A warm drop landed on his cheek, only then did I realize I was crying again. The night stretched on without sleep. I stood at the guest room window, watching the sky pale. Sleepless, eyes burning, yet my mind was crystal clear. The master bedroom door was ajar. Like a thief I tiptoed close and held my breath. Ethan lay on his side, blanket barely to his waist, the clean line of his back catching the dawn filtering through the shears. His lashes cast shadows on his cheeks, and the lips usually pressed tight were parted, giving him an almost boyish fragility. Grace. When that murmur slipped out, my heart convulsed, as if an invisible fist had squeezed it. His arm reached across to my side of the bed, when it met only cold sheets his brows knitted. My fingers trembled inches from his tangled hair, then drew back at the last second. I closed the door with the softest click. That tiny sound felt like a boundary locking the Ethan who had begged don't go forever in last night. Grace. The deep voice startled me. I nearly knocked over the jewelry box. Ethan stood in the doorway, already immaculate in charcoal grey, collar open 2 buttons, collarbones sharp. Apart from faint bloodshot eyes and paler lips, the man who'd sobbed in my arms might never have existed. You're awake. I forced a smile, my voice sounded foreign. There's warm honey water in the kitchen, remember to drink it. His gaze swept the neatly packed suitcase, his throat bobbed almost imperceptibly. About last night. My heart pounded so hard the pattern on my sweater blurred under my fingers. Would he remember? Remember the broken confessions? Remember the crack in his voice when he'd said he didn't want the divorce? I didn't say anything, did I? He massaged his temples, the gesture rare, rueful. We hit a private club after too many kinds of booze. Every shred of hope popped like bubbles in sunlight. I lowered my head, ripped a cotton pad in two, lashes hiding my reddened eyes. Nothing important, just some work stuff. Silence bloomed, thick and suffocating. I could feel his stare scorching a hole through my pajamas. On the vanity, our distorted reflections floated in a perfume bottle. He sat on the bed, wanting to speak. I stayed rigid like a marionette. About the divorce papers. His tone was lower, as though something strained it. Have you thought it through? The makeup pad tore clean in half. How ironic, after 10 years of secret longing, 2 years of trying to be the perfect wife, the man I'd adored was asking if I was sure. And you? I turned, looking straight into his eyes, my voice so soft it was almost inaudible. Do you want the divorce? His fingers unconsciously twisted the bedsheet, knuckles bleaching white. I'll respect your decision. When he said it, his gaze fell on the faint ring trace around my bare ring finger. The wedding band he'd slid on himself now lay in its velvet box on the vanity. My heart felt pierced by an icicle cold, then unbearably sore. I heard myself laugh. Fine. I can finish packing today. Whatever's left. I don't want it. My fingernails gouged crescents into my palms, but that sting was nothing beside the dull ache in my chest. Ethan's pupils shrank sharply. He shot to his feet so fast he toppled the bedside frame. Amid the crash of shattering glass, our wedding photo stared up from the shards, him in a razor-sharp tux, me trailing white satin, both grinning like perfect mannequins. In such a hurry? His voice was hoarse, right hand clamped along his trouser seam as if pinning down some wild impulse. I bent, retrieved the photo. A sliver of glass sliced my fingertip. A bead of scarlet fell onto his expressionless face in the picture like a belated tear. Sooner or later I have to go, might as well be quick. I kept my eyes on the taut corner of his mouth where a tiny scar I'd never noticed lingered. All the while I'd been desperate to memorize him, there were still so many pieces I'd never really known. Ethan's chest heaved, he half reached for my wrist, then forced the motion into straightening his tie. His lips parted several times, ending in a stiff, there's an M and a meeting at the company today. Watching him flee as if the room were burning, I slowly folded to the floor, hugging my knees. Warm droplets hit the hardwood before I realized I was crying again. A secret crush is excruciating, slow-motion suicide, murdering a little hope each day while breeding even wilder delusions. My phone blared while I did a final sweep of the apartment, suitcase in tow. Chase flashed on the screen, Ethan's college roommate, his best friend. Hello. My voice still carried the rasp of tears. Grace. Chase sounded frantic. Come to Nocturne, Ethan's, we're getting divorced, I cut in, thumb brushing the suitcase zipper. Whatever he does is no longer my concern. Bar clatter leaked through the speaker. Then a voice I knew better than my own punched through the chaos. You guys said she went for the Ice Prince act, I kept it up forever and she still never fell for me. My grip convulsed on the phone. That was Ethan, cracked open with grievance and despair I'd never heard. My soft sweet wife is filing for divorce. If I lose her I don't want to live. He was almost bawling. She said anything left behind can stay, she doesn't even want me. Scuffling followed. Chase lowered his voice. Grace, I'm begging you. He's downed 2 bottles of whiskey and nobody can hold him. Tomorrow this'll hit the finance section front page. Ethan's last sentence carried a thick, childlike sniffle like an abandoned puppy. Heat flooded my eyes, blurring everything. Grace. Still there. Chase came back clear. Could you? I'm on my way. I swiped my face, snatched the car keys and ran. The post-rain streets glistened. I ran 3 red lights and squeezed 20 minutes into 10. Nocturne, the private club where Ethan drank away countless nights I'd waited for him to come home. The moment I pushed open the booth door, the reek of liquor rolled over me. Ethan was sprawled on the leather sofa, tie askew, tailored jacket crumpled beside him and clutched to his chest, our senior yearbook. Grace, he breathed, eyes lighting up as he tried to lurch to his feet. Chase pinned him back. Thank God, Chase exhaled. He's been like this since last night, we couldn't explain. I cut him off, voice glacial even to myself. What do you mean acting cold? The room fell pin-drop silent. His buddies swapped panicked glances until Chase cleared his throat. Ethan's had a thing for you since high school, but we got bad intel, thought you liked the distant type. My temples throbbed. So these 2 years. All an act, a nerdy guy in the corner whispered. In private he's totally different, every hangout he's glued to his phone waiting for your texts. We even told him to come home late, said drunk husbands get pampered. Ethan wrenched free, stumbled over and cupped my face in burning hands, whiskey breath mingling with his familiar cedar scent. Grace. I messed up. I shouldn't have pretended. Forehead pressed to mine, lashes still spiky with tears. I go crazy when I see you talking to other guys. When you wear that blue dress I want to scoop you up. Every single night I want to kiss you. Each sentence exploded in my skull like fireworks. I stood frozen, letting his scorching tears drip onto my cheeks. He's gonna murder us when he sobers up, Chase muttered, loud enough for me to catch. What else don't I know? I inhaled sharply. Chase hesitated. The thing with Sterling Sr. Finally he sighed. Ethan's dad also had a contractual merger marriage, cheated, drove his wife to, you know. Ethan grew up convinced that if it isn't love, you shouldn't trap the other person. My heart sank. No wonder, even loving me, he'd kept his distance. Not lack of love, terror of repeating his father's tragedy. So he never confessed until the merger forced you together. Chase scratched his head. We were trying to help. Ethan slid off my shoulder, deadweight drunk. I caught his heavy frame, nose stinging. Turns out we were both cowards. He feared he wasn't worth loving. I feared I was unlovable. 2 idiots wasting years torturing each other. Grace. Chase ventured carefully. Actually, Ethan, I know, I whispered, gazing at the faint crease between his sleeping brows, tracing it with a fingertip. I know everything now. A secret crush is one person's battlefield. Our marriage had almost become 2 people watching each other across a river of flames. But at last I saw the truth. Help me get him home, I told Chase, a small smile tugging at my lips. And, do me one more favor. Ethan slept the whole next day in the guest room. I stood outside, hand poised to knock, listening to his steady breathing, and ultimately let the silence stay untouched. My phone buzzed. Chase, sis, it's set. Tomorrow 3 p.m, Ravenwood. I exhaled softly, turned, and walked to the study. At the bottom of the bookcase a sandalwood box lay locked. The key has hung on my necklace for years. It's the secret even Ethan doesn't know. When I opened the lid a puff of fine dust rose. Inside lay a stack of yellowed sheets, everyone starting with Dear Ethan. From 16 to 26, 10 full years of feelings sealed away. My fingertip brushed the top envelope. The postmark was the day before our wedding. I slipped the letter out, familiar handwriting filling my eyes. Tomorrow I'll become your wife. 10 years, and I still haven't found the courage to tell you how seriously the Grace in the back row once loved you. The paper trembled between my fingers. I suddenly remembered graduation day, under this same cherry tree, secretly watching him pose for photos while petals landed on his shoulder like a silent confession. What are you looking at? Ethan's voice behind me nearly made me fling the letter away. When I turned he was standing in the doorway, hair sticking up haphazardly, eyes still puffy from last night's hangover, yet already back to his Ice Prince act. Nothing. I snapped the box shut, but he caught my wrist. Grace. His voice was hoarse. Last night you were drunk. I cut him off, deliberately deadpan. You hugged a lamppost yelling Grace, don't leave me for an hour. His ears flushed scarlet. Chase and the guys. They told me everything. I looked straight at him. Still pretending to be Ice Prince, huh? His Adam's apple bobbed, eyes flickered like a kid caught cheating. The sight was almost funny, the Titan of Sterling, now as flustered as a schoolboy called to the blackboard. Ethan. I drew a breath. Tomorrow at 3, will you come somewhere with me? He blinked, then nodded. Okay. You're not going to ask where? Anywhere is fine. His gaze rested on my face, gentle beyond words. As long as it's with you. In that instant I understood we'd both waited for the other to step forward, forgetting love was never meant to hesitate. The next day the sun was gorgeous. I wore the pale blue sundress identical to my high school one. Ethan stared when he saw it, said nothing, merely opened the car door for me. The Ravenwood cherries were at peak bloom, pink-white petals swirling like graduation day come alive. We walked the alley side by side, neither of us speaking. Right here. I stopped beneath the largest tree. Senior year, I used to watch you play ball from this spot. His lashes fluttered. I know. You knew. Now I was the astonished one. You always hid behind the trunk, but your skirt hem showed blue, like a patch of sky. The corner of his mouth lifted. My heart hammered. So he had known all along. Ethan. I pivoted to face him and took the sandalwood box from my bag. I have something for you. His eyes flicked between the box and my face, brows tightening. This is 10 years of secret crush. I lifted the stack of letters. From 16 to 26, all here. His fingers quivered the moment they touched the paper. He drew out the first envelope. The date was our very first meeting, freshman convocation. You gave the welcome speech, white shirt sleeves rolled twice, I whispered. I wrote that when you said the word youth, your mouth curved just a little. Ethan's head jerked up, disbelief flooding his eyes. You. And this one. I pulled another free. The championship game senior year, after the winning shot you scanned the bleachers. You were looking at me, weren't you? His rims reddened, he clenched the letter so hard it wrinkled. How did you? Chase filled me in. I stepped closer, close enough to catch his faint cedar scent. Ethan, we've wasted too much time. Cherry blossoms drifted, one caught on his lash. I reached to brush it away, but he seized my wrist. Grace. His voice cracked. Sure. I rose on my toes, silencing him with a finger to his lips. Let me speak first today. I inhaled, then took the last item from the box, a faded varsity pin. This is. Ethan's pupils shrank. You dropped it in the locker room on graduation day. I laid the pin in his palm. I meant to return it, but something made me keep it. In the sunlight the gold plating was blotched, yet the initials SW were still clear. Short for Sterling. 10 years, I've been a coward. I looked up, vision blurring. But now I want to ask you one question. His fingers had already woven through mine, grip almost painful. Sterling, would you? Before I could finish he yanked me into his arms. Petals cascaded as his lips brushed my ear, voice shaking yes. I said yes 10 years ago. From somewhere farther along the path came a camera click. Chase and the others burst from behind the trees, hooting and clapping, but Ethan didn't even flinch, he just held me as though he'd clasped the most precious secret of his youth. Oh, right. I tilted my head from his chest. Why did you fall for me? His ears flushed again. So many little things, creeping up on me before I knew it. Luckily, I have a long, long lifetime to tell you every single one. Blossoms settled over our joined hands. This time, at last, I can write my secret crush across the rest of our days. Thanks for listening to today's story. If you liked it, please thumbs up and share with friends. We look forward to your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more moving tales. See you next time.